Rex on the road with our wine of the week in Sonoma County. We're in the Russian River Valley at Benovia, and we're going to visit today with Mike Sullivan. He's the winemaker and co-owner, and we're going to find out the difference between two growing regions, the Russian River Valley and the Sonoma coast. It's Rex on the road with Winter Wine Expo, and where are we today, Mike?
We're at Benovia Winery in the heart of the Russian River Valley.
Right, the Russian River Valley. The thing I noticed right off the top was you guys have wine on the Sonoma coast and the Russian River Valley. What are the two differences between those two growing regions?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we're about 14 miles from the Pacific Ocean, and that coastal current that sits at about 50, 52 degrees really drives the climate in this part of Northern California. Russian River is a pretty moderate growing area. We certainly would struggle to get later ripening varietals like Cabernet or Zinfandel ripe. Our focus is Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, which is early ripening varietals that like cool, temperate climates with good fog. We get a lot of maritime influence and fog through the summer. So it's sort of that Goldilocks, perfect middle of the hill forage.
The thing I love is that morning fog really does a great job for the grapes, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the grapes, they like cool daytime temperatures, relatively cool through the growing season. We do get up into the 90s and then it'll drop back into the low 80s through the growing season. But the cold nighttime temperatures really help to preserve the acidity in the wines. And for wines like Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, that's really important.
Right. Now, what kind of pressure is on you as you produce Pinot? Because this region is so well known for Pinot kind of being the top of the mountain.
Yeah, going back 30 years, Pinot Noir was pretty obscure. In the last 20, it's become sort of the foundation of the Russian River Valley. It's a thin-skinned grape varietal that is an amazingly transparent varietal that really expresses the place that it's grown, whether that's as a sparkling wine, as a rosé, or as a red wine. The Russian River is just ideal climate for growing Pinot Noir.
Right. And now the thing I hear about Pinot from winemakers as we talk to them is that Pinot, you got to baby it a little bit, right? You got to really keep an eye on it to make sure it's doing exactly what you need it to do. Right?
Yeah, it's because of the very thin skin of the grape. It's more susceptible to rot and some fungal pathogen diseases than other grape varietals like Cabernet that have a very thick skin. So it's something that we have to work really hard to make sure that we have just enough dappled sunlight in the canopy. We want to make sure that we get good air exchange through the vines.
Wow.
So there's a lot of additional work that has to happen.
Right, but well worth it.
Yeah, well worth it. So
now, do you have a favorite varietal as a winemaker? Is there a varietal that you go, hey, this is my jam?
Just depends on what I'm having for dinner.
Okay.
If it's Ossobuco, I'm having Nebbiolo. If it's Riesling, I love all varietals. But where we are in Sonoma County in the Russian River Valley, this is world renowned Chardonnay and Pinot Noir.
Right. And what a nice place to be. Like we said, you've got the morning fog, and as it lifts, you get clear, sunshiny days, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, so we farm 70 acres on 3 sites in Russian River and Sonoma Coast. Different parts, so we have a property up by Healdsburg, a little warmer site. The winery is located right in the heart of Russian River Valley between Santa Rosa and Sebastopol. We farm 40 acres here. Then we have a property out near the town of Freestone, so colder coastal site.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, in farming each of those sites that have different elevation, different soil types, and very different climates, we get dramatically different expressions of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay.
So that's a lot of variety for a lot of varietals, right? Right there in those 3 properties.
Make a lot of different wines. So yeah.
And how did you start the winemaking journey? How did that start for you?
I grew up here in Sonoma County. My parents got into grape growing as I was, in my teens. So I started working in the vineyards when I was, 18 years old, and worked in wineries as well. I started in the vineyards and loved working in the vineyards. It's very hot, it's very dusty. And then when I was 18, I had a first summer job in a winery where it was cool and it smelled great. Going back to the 80s, and I was hooked.
Wow. Yeah. So I can completely understand that, because I started working in radio when I was a teenager, and I was like, I really like this. I think this is what I'm going to do, and spent about 30 years or so on the radio and loved it. And I wouldn't be doing what we're doing now, visiting wineries and all kinds of other fun stuff, if it hadn't been for that love of radio, that love of kind of getting information out there and entertaining, hopefully.
Awesome. Well, should we taste some wine?
I think we should.
Okay, we'll start with the 2022 Russian River Valley Chardonnay. This is Benovia winery, and we're sitting here in our tasting room, which is open 7 days a week to the public by appointment. So,
Right. Cheers.
Yeah. It's a really bright citrus fruit, a little bit of lemon rind. There's some floral notes, a little bit of nectarine and peach, bright natural acidity, and we barrel ferment the wine, but not a lot of new oak, so it's still bright and vibrant.
Oh, it's beautiful. And I mean, I like the way the fruits kind of are working with each other and kind of working against kind of a push and pull.
Yeah.
And very nice, very nice.
A beautiful wine that pairs well with lots of different dishes, whether it's roast chicken or scallops or, some sauteed mushrooms.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, what would you think of pairing this with, as far as, I mean, the old rules are fish with white wine.
I think that you could, certainly nice flaky white fish would be great. Salmon would be fantastic. Roast chicken, I think you could do it with some mushrooms off the grill. Chardonnay is pretty versatile if it has enough acidity, which growing a Chardonnay in this climate, the wines have bright natural acidity, really mouth-watering acidity that pairs well with food. And Pinot Noirs from here, have also a wide range of food pairing options.
Right. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, very nice, very nice. It makes you think of spring or summer, and just kind of really has a great mouthfeel.
Yeah. Great to take it out to a restaurant, or if you're having friends over.
Right.
Spark conversation over a great glass of wine.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so tell us about some of the other wines that you make as well.
Yeah, so we make single vineyard wines off of our estate properties. We have the 3 estate properties, as I mentioned. Each of those we make a Pinot Noir, single vineyard Pinot Noir off of. 2 of the estate vineyards we make a single vineyard Chard, our Marta Ella and our Tilton Hill vineyards. Very small production, almost block. We barrel select those, and they're beautiful expressions of those sites. We work with a few other varietals as well. We work with a little bit of Zinfandel. We work with a little bit of Grenache. We have some Sauvignon Blanc planted on site and a little bit of Cabernet.
Wow, that's a lot of varietals.
It's a lot of varietals, yeah. Pinot Noir, Chardonnay are sort of our bread and butter, but sometimes you need.
The thing I always wonder is when a winery and a winemaker are working with that many varieties, that's going to be a full-time job just to keep an eye on each wine and make sure it's kind of doing in the barrel what you need it to do, right?
Yeah, you do. With Pinot Noir and Chardonnay that are really site expressive wines, essentially they're made as we grow them in the vineyard. So we're spending all year, Chris Kankas, my vineyard manager, myself, and our team, we're making sure that we're farming to our exacting standards, making sure that we're reducing the crop to intensify some of the flavors. And a lot of that goes into the raw material to the grape itself, and then we're in the winery. We're essentially nurturing that through. So it's a little less blending like you would do with Cabernet, because essentially there we're harvesting a block. We'll keep that separate, and sometimes bottle that on its own. Versus Cabernet, where we'll blend other varietals together.
So it's what the grape does out on the vine, and then you're just trying to refine that and make sure that really happens, that continues. Right?
Exactly, optimize that, whether it's the use of oak, whether it's the fermentation technique, when we're harvesting the grapes to achieve perfect balance in the wines. All of those are decisions that we make through the process, but it begins with farming and planting the vineyards and then nurturing those through the season.
Right. The thing I love about Sonoma County, and we've worked with wineries in a lot of different regions, is Sonoma County really seems to remember that farming is a huge part of the equation, where some other areas, I think, kind of push that out. And it's kind of like, look what ended up in this bottle. It's wine.
We're a small family-owned winery, and we're vertically integrated. So we own and farm 70 acres. Most of our wines come from our own estate vineyard. And that's really our passion. That's really where the quality begins. If you have wine is made in so many ways today. Whether you have a small warehouse that you're leasing space, and you're buying grapes from other people.
Right.
Most consumers think of small wineries as farming, having their own production facility, and then selling the wine.
Right.
There's fewer and fewer of those as time goes on. It's so capitally intensive to purchase land, plant vineyards, farm those vineyards, and then make the wine on your own site. But it's the very highest expression, in my personal opinion, of what you can do.
It's become very segmented, hasn't it? I mean, you got folks that are just growing grapes, and they sell those grapes to other winemakers and other wineries.
Yeah, and that's what's unique about Sonoma County is that Sonoma County, most of the vineyards in Sonoma County are under 20 acres in size, and most of those are owned by small family farms, versus other parts of the state that have been. There's been a lot of consolidation. There's been a lot of purchasing by large companies, so a lot of those small family farms are getting pushed out. So whenever I talk to passionate wine consumers, support your small local family operations.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of that farm to fork movement with wine in the sense of support the small farmer, small winery, and so that will keep being there. That keep being part of the market, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing's true with everything else. The diversity we have in Sonoma County, whether it's vegetables, whether it's our poultry industry or cheese industry. Support those, because if they're not supported, they're not going to be there.
Right. Now, I think another question that we ask a lot of folks when we get a chance to talk to winemakers and folks that have been in the industry for a while, how has the industry kind of changed since you started to now? Is there a big difference, or it's still pretty much the same game?
No, it's changed a lot. A lot of it has to do with the customer interface. When I started in the wine industry years ago, back in the 80s, there wasn't much. Retail was something that happened as an aside. Usually someone from the office would come out, pour some wine, and you might get a few retail sales a week or a month. Right. Now, the DTC industry, the sort of hospitality industry, is what people think about the wine industry. The experience that you get at wineries, the hospitality venue, the experience that you get by coming, tasting, the education. So that's changed a lot. So there's a lot more options for customers, and the number of wineries has grown exponentially.
Yeah, it seems like everywhere you turn, there's a winery. At least where we live, and in this part of the country, it's like go 15 miles in any direction, and you'll run into somebody that has a winery. Yeah. Which, I mean, to me, the thing that seems hard then is how do you cut yourself out of the path of just being another winery, right?
That's always tough. I think that quality is. Overall quality in California over the 60s and 70s and 80s, I think, has increased tremendously. Just the average quality wine has increased tremendously. So making yourself stand out from a quality perspective takes more, and it's more expensive. But yeah, I think that just the combination of wine, the experience, the interaction with our customers, those things are really important.
Yeah. Now, as we were talking just a little bit ago about DTC, that's direct to consumer, how important has the tasting room become as a financial driver for a local winery? That's changed a little bit too, right?
It's changed a lot, yeah. Having a retail space, having whether it's a space on the square in Sonoma or in Healdsburg or along Highway 29 in Napa, having a small retail outlet where your customers can come and experience the wine is really important. For us here, I think one thing that sets us apart is when you come to the tasting room, it's adjacent to the winery. You get the entire experience here. You get vineyards at the estate, you get to see what's happening within the given season, and then you're literally tasting the wines from the place that they were grown.
Right. And I always think when you can taste it where it's grown, that there's a quality of that. There's a quality that kind of comes through that may not come through when you're drinking that bottle of wine at home.
Yeah, right? And especially for our customers that are outside of California. If you're from Michigan or you're from Ohio or you're from Florida, coming to California, it's a special place. It's a beautiful place. And we, over the last few years, travel's gotten a little more expensive. People's budget, it's difficult to come out to California as often. But for those of you that have been, come back. For those that haven't, come for the first time. Right.
And it's a great experience. I mean, Sonoma County has really so much to offer. Wine and food really do go together.
Absolutely, yeah. Whether it's Sonoma County or Mendocino County or Napa County, there's tremendous experiences. Whether it's amazing restaurants, hotels, or wineries.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to come and check it out. Sonoma County has a lot to offer. Sonoma County Vintners, I know, is a good first stop for folks to kind of go, hey, I want to get a kind of a lay of the land or an idea of what maybe I want to taste as I make that weekend trip or that vacation.
Yeah. Checking out the Sonoma County Vendors website and just the wineries that are part of that event, you can plan your entire trip through that portal, which is fantastic.
Right. Well, Mike, I want to thank you for letting us hang out with you and taste your wines. Benovia, tell everybody where you guys are again.
Thanks, Rich. So we're between Santa Rosa and Sebastopol. From San Francisco, it's about 80-minute drive. Right in the heart of the Russian River Valley. You can really get it. You can get a feel for the coastal range to the west of us. You can see Mount St. Helena from here. It's a gorgeous time. Any time of year is a gorgeous time of the year to come out. Especially spring, late winter, spring, and fall are ideal.
Right, exactly. It's Rex on the Road. It's our Winter Wine Expo. Obviously, we're trying to visit the wineries during the winter time, which might be a little bit of a slower time as we all kind of get ready for fall. We're all ready for spring. We did fall, winter, and now we're getting ready for spring. It's Rex on the Road with Winter Wine Expo.